Hi, and welcome back to Sushi and Fries, and today to the first episode of an installment called Flossed Art, where I basically want to use free open source software to process images, emulating different styles. So today what I want to try is to emulate this brown golden style, which you quite often see on Instagram and other social media platforms. So the starting image is what you see to the right, and I'm going to try to bring it to the image to the left. So let's get started. This is my starting image. This time I will use the software called Art. Art stands for Another Raw Therapy and is basically raw therapy with some extra tools and additions which raw therapy doesn't have or has in a slightly different form. If you're familiar with raw therapy, this shouldn't be very difficult for you to understand. If you're new, I hope you can learn something from this. So this photo here is as it is loaded. The only thing I added is a 1:1 crop, as you can see. When loading, Art actually does an auto-match tone curve, so it tries to emulate the tone curve which is in the JPEG, which the camera does. So that's my starting point. Now, what we want to achieve is a brown toned image with a slight faded look. So the first thing to do is get this image brown. I will go to the color tab. I will use the color equalizer. Now, when there are different tools and you want to just have one tool open and the others close, you can right click on the tool and everything else will close while this one will open. Never forget to activate the tool. And now we have a choice to change hue, saturation and luminance or luminosity. So let's activate the hue. We want to get the yellows a little bit orange, and we want to get the greens really orange. Now, right ahead, let me say that the software is normally more reactive than you will see because my screen capturing software to make this video slows down everything for some reason. So it normally reacts much faster. So let's take the greens, pull them down and see what we can give them a nice orange hue. Now this looks really nice. Now we have pulled those down, changed the colors, so now everything is kind of orangey. To get brown, basically brown is dark orange, so we will maybe darken it. Now we want to darken, pull down the same colors we have changed here. So basically what we could do is copy this curve and merge it into the luminosity equalizer here. That's quite easy to do because you can copy the current curve with this button here. Then we activate the luminosity equalizer and you can paste the exact same curve. And you can see we've darkened it. So everything gets quite brown. Now, by darkening it, I think it has gotten too saturated. So we can activate the saturation equalizer, just paste the same curve. And now it's slightly faded. We can bring back some of the color because we don't want it that faded. So maybe somewhere around here. Okay, so the color is done. What I want to do now is adapt some tones. So I will activate the tone equalizer. Here you can change the blacks, shadows, midtones, highlights, whites, etc. I want to bring the shadows, the blacks up quite a lot because it will add me some local contrast in these areas. And I want to bring up the highlights because I want the thing to glow something like this. In this case, there's some blown out whites up here, but I don't care because I just want to have it really nice and bright. Now I could pull down the midtones maybe a little bit to add some more contrast between this area and this, or pull it up to get it real bright, but it brightens the image too much. So I will probably leave it or even slightly pull down the midtones. Then I said I wanted to have a slightly faded look, so we will add a tone curve. Now we have already one in use, but we have another one. Select the standard tone curve. Let's reset it. There's a couple of tone curves you can choose from. I want to use the luminance tone curve right now because I don't want changes in color at this point, and the luminance tone curve basically leaves color as it is. So let's add a point here in the middle to fix the curve, and then pull up the blacks to give it that faded look, then pull back down this area until you have a look which you do like, something like this. Okay, it is already looking quite nice. I like to zoom out because it gives me a better idea of how the images as a whole works and how contrast overall is, while if I'm zoomed in like this, or if I look close like this, I normally focus on areas. So there's two more things I'd like to do. We could finish at this point, but there's two more things, maybe three, which I like to do. Let's go to the local editing tab because art does have local editing capabilities. We activate the color correction tool. Now there's automatically one region already created. What I want to do is everything is nice and brownish orange. I'd like to bring some contrast into the shadows, and I want to do that by changing the hue in the shadows. So giving it a slight teal color, because that is the opposite of orange. So you can use this color matrix here. The whole image is quite orangey, so we pull it in the opposite direction, and you can see it gets quite bluish teal tinted. Now I only want to have that in the shadows, so I will activate the mask here. There's a parametric mask. Activate. I will change the luminosity parameters. So I will take the highlights. Oops, sorry, I missed them. I will take the highlights, pull them down, and you can see already how it is changing. And now you can make the mask visible by clicking this button. So all the yellow areas are masked. That is a little bit too little, so I will pull up this area until I get basically this part here under the tree and that tree all active. So let's make the mask invisible, and you can already see that is the tint has changed. We can turn this off and turn that on again to see if we like it. Now it's a little bit too saturated, so pull the saturation of the tint down. I can go all the way down, which basically has very little impact, but somewhere around here. Just to show you, let's turn it off again. So this is when the shadows here are brown, and this is with a slight tint, which gives it a nice contrast. So there's one more thing I want to do with the color correction. We will add another region here. So we click on the plus button, and I want to brighten this area in the middle. So the two people here plus the sky. For this, I will manually select the area, go to the area mask, activate, select the polygon mask. You can add points by clicking on Control and clicking with your mouse. So we'll just add some point. You can see how this works. I'm just forming a nice little mask like this. selecting here all the bright areas while leaving these midtones out. Something like this. Okay, so we have selected this mask. You can see the frame. We can turn the frame off by clicking this button. We can show the mask, which now is a very sharp mask, which isn't very nice. And we can add some feathering by using this slider here. So you can see if I click somewhere in the middle, it will feather the mask. In this case, I want to focus on this, like this canal here in the middle. So something like this. Let's not show the mask anymore. As you can see, it's getting very slow because the video software is slowing down this program. So now we want to bring up the midtones in this area to brighten that up. Maybe some highlights also. And then to bring back some contrast here in the midtones, pull down the shadows so it doesn't get too flat or bright. So as you can see, you can change the highlights, shadows, and midtones, and the midtones work the opposite way for some reason. So just remember that. So let's go up. Let's deactivate this region and see what we have done. This was before, and we've added a nice glow in here. Now it could be a little bit more saturated here in the middle. You could pull up the saturation here. Oh, that is too much, definitely. Or we could use some color toning here as well, pulling this into some maybe yellows, and then adjust the saturation here as to a point where you like it. Now this is too much, maybe somewhere around here. So let's turn this area off again. This was before, this is what we've done. And basically we're almost finished. Maybe I'll add, I've zoomed in a little bit. Now this goes normally faster, as I mentioned. So maybe let's add some final touches, some local contrast down here, activate. Now you can just pull up, this is to the left are the fine details, very fine details, and to the right are the slightly larger details. You can pull just this up a little bit and it will add some contrast. Let's turn it off, turn it on again, just some slight local contrast. So by pushing F you can zoom to the full image, and this is where we've gotten. I think this is quite nice. It is what we tried to achieve, and we can compare it by clicking this button here. You can compare it to another step in your steps you've been processing. I've blocked the image here by clicking on this little button, and then I will scroll up in the history to go to the image as it was loaded. So we've come from this image to this image, and that's what we wanted. Nice orange brownish autumn glowy look. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you when the next episode of Flossed Art starts. And if you have some question, just put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as good as I can. So see you next time. Bye.